So today we're going to show you how to wash a bike and the tools that we use to wash it. So a frame brush, soft bristle so you don't scratch any of your surfaces, a cone brush to get in all the tight crevices, whether it be your rear triangle and your fork blades, if you happen to have a mountain bike, and any of your suspension tight crevices. We use two different brushes for our drivetrain, both with a little bit stiffer bristle to really get in and agitate the grease debris out of all those places in your cassette and your chain. And we also use a chain brush. Some safety glasses or sunnies. Keep the eyes safe. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start off a couple things that we want to avoid using. Anything high pressure you don't want to use. That includes going to car washes. That high pressure can get into your bearings, whether it be wheels, bottom bracket, headset. It can work its way into your bearings and basically start corroding over time. So that's something that we want to try and stay away from. But from there, let's get into it and start washing. We just want to get a good soaking of the whole thing. All right, the next step is we're gonna dive into degreasing the drivetrain. Got some degreaser on my brush, dive into the cassette first, get it in there pretty good, get a good few revolutions going on. I always do the drivetrain first and then dive into the front chainring a bit. We use Pelly soap and degreaser combo here, which we've found to work pretty well. So, but you can use, there's all sorts of brands out there that are just straight, like liquid degreasers that you can use as well. Park Tools sells some, Muck Off sells it, works well. So we let it sit on there and then I rinse and wash the rest of the bike and then dive back in later to do the fine tuning and some last scrubbing to get it good and clean. All right, now we'll start washing the bike. Just want to make sure you get everywhere that could be dirty. Under the saddle's a good one. Behind your caliper or your seat stays. Clean your bar tape so it doesn't get too sticky on those hot and sweaty rides. When you start getting close to your calipers, you want to be weary of too much soap and degreasing on there. You can contaminate your pads and your rotors. Just something to think about in the back of your head as you're getting around those areas. All right, so when we're getting close in with our calipers and our rotors, we just want to be conscious of how much soap we're getting in there and to make sure we rinse them and clean them really well at the end, because that can contaminate your brake pads and rotors. So now that we're done with the frame brush, we're going to dive into our cone brush to get in between our fork blades, rear triangle, any sort of tight spots that you got in your bike, and clean all those areas. It's also great for your rear derailleur, getting in between all your pulleys. All right, now that we've used the cone brush everywhere that needs to, we're more or less done washing the bike. Now we're going to go back into the drivetrain. We're going to use a little bit stiffer of a brush this time, and our cyclone to agitate the grease a little bit better. And by a stiff brush, you never want to use anything metal. Metal on metal wouldn't be good. It's just a nice firm plastic nylon bristle brush. All right, so we'll grab a little bit more degreaser. More or less redo the steps that we did earlier. And now we'll grab the cyclone. All right, so what we do, we fill up the reservoir here with some degreaser. Basically throw the chain right down the middle. You got two different types of scrubbers here, one for the sides of the chain and one to get in between. So we just toss it right in here, close it down, and then give it, 5, 6, 10 rotations. Do it for a half hour if you want. Just all depends on how dirty your chain is. That's probably pretty good there. Cool. Yeah, and then you can see after you're done, when you dump the water out, it's usually pretty dirty. Oh yeah, look at that. All that grime coming out of your chain. It's gonna run smooth and buttery when you're all done. The last thing we can do is the tires real quick, just to get any caked in dirt, debris out of the tread. A couple good turns. Sometimes you gotta go back and forth to really get it out of there if it's really dried in there. All right, now that we're done doing all the scrubbing and the hard work, now it's time to rinse her down and get it all clean and ready to go. So I usually typically start at the top of the bike, work from the saddle down, so you're getting all the suds to go from the top of the bike down, so then by the time it dries, all your suds are dripping off the bottom of the bike so you don't leave any soap spots. Slowly rinsing it off as you do your tires, just slowly rotate them. All right, now that we're all done rinsing it off, got our chamois here, and we'll just start wiping it down. And last thing you want to do is the chain after you wiped everything down, because this could still have a little bit of residue on it, and you don't want to wipe that all over your nice clean bike. So just give it a little extra wipe. But pretty clean rag. I think we did a good job. And now that we're all dried up and just about ready to get out there and ride, we're going to lube up the chain. I always start at my quick link, so it's an easy reminder of where I started and where to stop. And just shake up my lube, and I like to just do 1 drop on every roller. Takes a little bit of time, but no waste. And make sure that you get every one just the right amount of lube. Just 1 drop is all you need to make your chain happy and not squeak and drive you crazy. Now that we're done lubing the chain, we're just gonna cycle it through a couple times, make sure it gets fully engaged and all your pins lubed up well. Once we do that, then we'll just run a rag over it to grab the excess to keep it as clean as possible for as long as possible. Now it's ready to rip. You never want to wash your bike too much. If you do, the more likely you are to get water and corrosion into your bearings. Once a week, you know, if it's a muddy time of the year, the fall time or the spring, you know, you can wash it at, you know, after every couple rides or as it's needed. If you really start to get some dirt caked in there, you want to get it out there. So roughly once a week is a good time to wash it. And the one thing I will say to do is you always want to lube your chain before every ride, just to keep that longevity of your chain and your cassette. They're pretty big wear parts and they're quite pricey, so the better you keep them lubed and running smooth, the longer they're going to last. Get out there, enjoy it.